everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. Welcome to another Festive Flicks edition, holiday season edition of Wade Watches, another special review where today, fulfilling my promise to close that gap between the holidays, between Halloween and the start of the holidays, though I know we're roughly a full week away from the week of Thanksgiving. Still, gotta, just dust the spooky season off my shoulders. I'm going to be reviewing Krampus from 2015, directed by Michael Dougherty and starring, and bear with me here because it's a whole family that's in this film: MJ Anthony, Toni Collette, Adam Scott, Stephanie Levy Owen, David Ketchner, Maverick Flack, Allison Tolman, and a few more. Hold on. Yes, I'm reading this off the list. It's a lot of folks, so yep, I'm still reading. Lolo Owen, Conchata Farrell, Queenie Samuel, and Krista Stadler. So getting right into it, for as a lot of you guys, if you guys have seen my first Festive Flicks review, which was of Gremlins, I chose these two films in particular, and I did post this on Instagram saying that like I said, I just wanted to close that gap between Halloween and the holidays. I wanted to do something different for the start of this holiday season movie review series this year by just acknowledging that there does kind of, at least for me personally, my personal life, there does still exist that gap between Halloween and the holidays. And yes, I know we're getting well into Thanksgiving, but it's still kind of there for me. I don't know, it just is this year. So when I did go into Gremlins, which, like I said, haven't seen that film since elementary school, and I didn't even finish it. I was hoping it would be, kind of scary in parts. I understand it's a comedy, and at a point, when it started, I understood that it was kind of lampooning the small town creature feature, but I did expect a horror element that I really didn't feel like I got. Like, I didn't feel fulfilled in the, horror part of the horror comedy of Gremlins. I really didn't. I felt that it was just a bit too silly for my taste. That's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people love the crap out of that movie. More power to you. I just didn't get what I wanted from it. This one, on the other hand, gave me exactly what I wanted. I loved Krampus. I love Trick or Treat, which I watched for my SMS Halloween series last year, and Michael Dougherty once again knocks it out of the park. I love this movie. And what works about it is that it does deliver on both of the genres that it consists of, which is it is a horror comedy. When it's funny, I'm not gonna say I busted a gut and that all the jokes and one-liners that landed were funny, but it's just like that natural kind of it's definitely more of an exaggerated version of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where it's, kind of a dark comedy. This is definitely a darker comedy than National Lampoon's, which is still in its own right, definitely more of a dark comedy, addressing how the holidays, while, ideally it's all about joy, family, fun, food, getting together, embracing the spirit of the season, could also, and this is no surprise, bring out the worst in people. The film opens up with a shopping sequence, a holiday shopping sequence, where it's not really played for dramatic effect or exaggerated if you follow the news these days, where shoppers trampling over one another, trampling over store employees, getting arrested by store security, the whole 9 yards. So it definitely established itself as a dark comedy, and I happen to have a dark sense of humor, so yeah, it landed for me. And not only that, but because the main point of this is continuing on with this, kind of reminding me of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We once again have a story revolving around the clashing of, our protagonist family and their asshole in-laws and asshole relatives that they have to put up with because, hey, it's the holidays. And that, once again, just like what I said with the Black Friday thing, that's not at all unrealistic. I've heard stories from some coworkers recently where I'm not going to put this person's whole business out here, obviously, but I worked with somebody recently who said that they were going to visit their relatives on Thanksgiving, but if they were made to feel offended or uncomfortable at any point, they would just straight up leave. They told me that. So this is a reality for a lot of people. It's not just something that though it's a plot line that definitely appears in countless number of things. You know, oh, my relatives are assholes and I have to visit them for Christmas or deal with them for Christmas. It is, I understand that it's a reality for people, though I will acknowledge that in other like films that I've seen with this plot where, you know, again, asshole relatives got to deal with them because hey, it's Christmas, that's what we got to do. Christmas or Thanksgiving, that's what we got to do. I've seen so many things like that. I will say that usually what I don't like about those things is that it's never addressed that, you know, this behavior is unacceptable from these relatives. It's just kind of like used to get a cheap laugh, like look how much of a dick this guy's being to his family, look how much of a bitch this aunt is, you know, or something like that. And everyone just kind of puts up with it. You know, usually the protagonist just kind of like, that's my relatives. But here it is addressed, and they actually like progress on that throughout the film. So it's not just something, you know, these relatives don't just come, you know, stomping up to the door being dicks. They do stomp up to the door being huge assholes just for the sake of a laugh. They actually go somewhere with it and build upon it as the movie progresses. It isn't just used for a lazy laugh. So I allowed it, you know, because definitely at first when these guys first rolled up, of course I was just kind of like, oh fuck, here we go, you know, David Ketchner, he's gonna be the dickhead, you know, kind of red state trailer park type of uncle slash brother-in-law, you know, you think you're better than me, I love guns and trucks and voting Republican, and that's not, hey, that's not me stereotyping. That's literally, those are literally things he says in this fucking movie. So don't come at me. And I was just like, oh shit, here we go. It's the redneck in-law relative storyline again. But like I said, as this goes on, they do build on that, and they address that right away. I like how the protagonist family, which this is essentially a kid named Max's story, Max's family. I like how they don't just go like, oh, it's the holidays. All of them pretty much say like, this is gonna fucking suck. Like, I don't want to deal with these douchebags. And not only that, but when some of the relatives, including an aunt who kind of hitches a ride with the in-laws, like even they weren't expecting to, you know, take her to the protagonist family's house. She kind of like tricks the sister, Tony Collette's sister, into you know, bringing her along. Even when she starts mouthing off, the you know, Tony Collette at one point is just like, you better shut your mouth, and show me some respect. So I actually appreciated that. However, this whole thing gets started because Max, who's just honestly a good kid at heart. I like this kid. He's not a brat. He's not whiny. He's not annoying. He's actually a good, wholesome kid because he just wants Christmas to, I guess, apparently be how it used to be. I guess, you know, maybe this family had a falling out somewhere down the road, down the line, and they're now kind of, you know, a dysfunctional family who's at each other's throats. But apparently at one point they weren't like that, and Max, you know, literally writes a letter to Santa. He still believes in Santa, and he's definitely portrayed as like a bit of an older kid, I guess too old to believe in Santa or whatever. So I'm guessing like maybe 10 to 12, maybe even 13. And you know, the wish is just like, you know, I just want my family to be happy again, and you know, that got me in the feels. But there's an incident where, you know, the relatives just push him a little bit too far, and he's basically like, you know what, fuck Christmas and fuck all of you, I'm done with your shit. And Max rips up that letter and casts it into the winds of the night, and somehow that summons Krampus, and that's when shit gets real. And that's as much of a plot as you'll get from me. But let's just say that when Krampus comes to play, and this is what I appreciate. This is what I appreciate about Trick or Treat. It does get sinister. It does get unsettling. It does get downright scary. And that's even more impressive given the fact that, unlike Trick or Treat, which was gory and bloody and graphic as hell with that R rating, this is PG-13, but it's still managed to scare me, to spook me, to the point where I don't know whether to designate this as an SMS review or an FF review. I might just do both. But we'll see what happens when I edit this. But it really does get creepy and intense and unsettling, and I have to attribute that, and this was present in Trick or Treat 2, to the practical effects, you know, kind of like a minimal use of CGI. This thing has like just a 15 million budget, so it's not a CGI fest. The practical makeup looks great. It's people in monster costumes doing the performances. I see some of them in the cast list here. They're all phenomenal. They look great and they aren't screwing around. And I love it. So, yeah, this was a fun ride from start to finish. It clocks in at an hour and 38 minutes, so it's not a super long movie, but I appreciate the pacing because it still manages to feel like a buildup of things just getting worse, much worse. Like, sorry, I can't talk. Worse and worse for this family. So it's not like, Krampus comes right away and starts terrorizing them. It's a progression. I'm not going to give away too much, but it starts off as just simply being like this, it all starts with this snowstorm that knocks all the power out in the neighborhood, which seems innocent enough because, maybe there's a bad snowstorm, but then it just gets scarier and scarier and more terrifying for this family, and I love the crap out of it. And and I'm certainly not going to give away this, but there's even like a small twist in here where it's not as unexpected as you may think, and there's even somewhat of like a personal story here that ties everything together to where I was like, wow, holy shit. So this isn't just a random thing. Someone actually has ties to this. And I love that even more. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Krampus from start to finish. It knows when to be funny. It knows when to be like genuinely scary and unsettling and intense. And when the scary scenes come up, there's a bit of comedy. There's still a bit of one-liners. There's some evil gingerbread men. So it's not completely unfunny when it's scary. There's still some of that comedy in the horror comedy, but it still manages to convey to you that Krampus is not fucking around. He means to come teach these people a lesson. If you know anything about the original Germanic myth of Krampus, you know that he's like Santa's mirror opposite. He punishes, he takes away, he teaches harsh lessons, and he's not fucking around with these people, and I love seeing it. I will say one tiny gripe I have is that this all starts because of Max. Max is pretty much, the whole family, obviously, they're all pretty much the main characters. Everybody gets their time to shine. Everybody gets a moment. But this all happens because of, I guess, like Max inadvertently accidentally summoning Krampus because he loses his faith in Christmas because of his asshole relatives. And I wish the film had, focused on that a little bit more often, because there comes a point, like when things get started, Max kind of gets sidelined by literally everybody else in the family, and kind of like, of course, when it's wrapping up, that's when it kind of all comes back together, and it's like, yeah, this is happening because of a wish Max apparently made by accident. And I wish we could have gotten more of that inner conflict that this kid feels about, going from just wanting his family to be happy and loving around the holidays again, and just saying, you know what, fuck my family. So wish we would have gotten a bit more of that, but I was still satisfied, especially with how it all ultimately wrapped up. I finished the film feeling satisfied and not feeling like they didn't show enough or present enough about why Max feels the way he does and how it ties into Krampus and all that good stuff. They still wrapped it up in a very satisfying way. So wrapping it up, I'm going to go ahead and give Krampus a perfect 10 out of 10. Yeah. Despite that little gripe, this was a thoroughly engaging watch from start to finish. I'm frankly surprised that more people don't talk about this one, because this is a really solid Christmas horror film for sure. Of course, it's a bit of a comedy, especially near the beginning, but for the most part, like I keep saying, when it gets scary, it legitimately gets scary and intense, and it's no laughing matter. So perfect 10 out of 10 for Krampus. I love this film just as much as I love Michael Dougherty's other holiday flick, Trick or Treat, which deals with Halloween, and hopefully he makes more holiday themed stuff, right on down the road. If he wants to do something with like a demonic Easter bunny, I'll be there for it. So this has been another Festive Flicks edition of Wade Watches, 10 out of 10 for Krampus, and I'll see you all with more. Peace.